to art. Welcome. I'm Aaron Jack. We're gonna be on with Jennifer McEuen. And so welcome on. Welcome on to another beautiful week in this land of wonder and all of you, my neighbors out there in the wonderful world. So thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Here we go. Jennifer on here. Got a wonderful lineup today. Wonderful people here, there, and everywhere. Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing today?
I'm well. I'm well. I'm glad to be here with you. I'm so excited.
Yeah, likewise. This is so wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We've been talking about it for a while, so I'm really excited to learn more about you and your work and share that in whatever ways that we're able to in this strange world we live in.
Wonderful. I love sharing about it, so this is great.
Excellent. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, where are you? What are you up to? What's exciting you?
Well, these days I am actually in southern Idaho in a very chill, smaller town with my man and my baby boy. So it's a really nice pace for where I'm at in my life journey as an artist. And I hang out with my little family and my friends and go deep into my work when I have the availability to. Before I was in Idaho, I was mostly in California for the last decade. That's where I went to art school. I was in Colorado for a couple of years, or actually about a year, like in 6 month intervals. And I went to Europe a couple times and studied with some incredible masters. And and then I mostly grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah, and that's where I started painting.
Wow. How did you start then? If you're like, if you can name the place, what got you into it?
Oh, so I mean, I've been an artist my whole life. I've always been very drawn to uh, working with my hands and drawing and coloring, and some of my earliest memories are of those things. And then when I was in high school, I was finding that it was a real possible life path to tend to. So I was working on making a good portfolio to get a scholarship to an art school that was interesting to me, and things lined up, and I ended up going to San Francisco.
Wow. So what happened in San Francisco? What went down there for you?
So, so I had some awesome opportunities and a scholarship. It just seemed to make a lot of sense. I had some experiences there when I was younger. I lived in California as a younger child and had a deep connection to it. Had some family that were still living there, and the school was amazing, and it just worked out in the time.
Wow.
I went to the Academy of Art University. I didn't finish the program. It was actually a 5 year program, and it's very pricey. So I didn't complete the whole thing because the tuition kept raising. And during my experience in art school, I was finding that a lot of my fellow students weren't even really into the artwork. Like I would be working on a painting just for fun, um, off hours, and people were like, "What are you doing? Is that homework?" And I was like, "This is just what I want to do." And they were so surprised by it. So it's interesting. I When I went to art school, I thought I was going to meet a lot more like-minded uh, people, and it wasn't necessarily the case, but I definitely found my own inner drive, and I was like, I don't think I need this structure to be inspired and to make my art and to have a career. So I left after 2.5 years, and it's been quite the journey.
Wow. What are some things you've learned along the way that you kind of wish you knew back then? or you wish you could tell like people in that situation now?
Hmm. Well, I would say that art school is, especially now with the way things are with institutional learning, it's totally different. But if you were thinking about doing like an online program or something, definitely do your research. There's so much free content out there, and really the main thing is to stick to it, continually work on your craft, like work on your skills, and make sure you do it on the daily. And that's really the main thing. And if you're inspired enough to create the work, it's going to work.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what keeps you inspired?
Well, being alive is pretty inspiring in itself. um, I I love just the experience of art making. It's so therapeutic for me, and it's a very like beautiful freedom space where I can just tend to my thoughts and work with my hands and color. And it's a realm that I feel very at home in. So I think the actual art making process in itself is very inspiring to me. And then of course my life, my my beautiful boy, my son, my love, my husband, being able to look at the sky and we're okay and things are good, and grateful to be a functioning human being with the two hands to make art that I'm inspired by. So it's pretty simple for me. I mean, I can go deep into it and we can go all over about the subject of art. I can talk about it forever.
Go
Um,
as deep as you want. This is an open
yeah.
open
Well, I
space
guess,
for you to
yeah.
go.
I've done so much outward exploring in my 20s. I'm in my early 30s now, but I've done so much external exploring and traveling and events and live painting and going here and going there and just starting new pieces everywhere and very externally driven. And I'm reaching this new point in myself where I have this very rich inner life that I could just be working on projects for the rest of my life. That sounds kind of strange, but I mean, there's definitely travel in the future and things. We're definitely in a delicate time. So I'm also a mother of a 2-year old. So the way things are working right now really works with the pace of things. Um, yeah, just working on the inner self mostly, and then just the beautiful mundane tasks to be a person. It's all pretty magical if you can look at it that way.
So what are you excited about? Like, what are you working on now that you find particularly inspiring?
So I have many projects in my current rotation. I'm working on an oracle deck of 20, possibly 21 cards. It's kind of small, but it's been this really beautiful experience, and I'm really letting it be this more playful, experimental process for myself. I'm still working on like what the actual cards, the paintings mean, and finding how it's a truly relevant tool and something that I can share with the world. So that's really fun. I'm working on a few commissions that are very exciting. Um, and I'm also working on another oracle deck, which features many different goddesses. So that is also very fun. Um, it's nice to be able to play with the abstract, more ethereal styles, and then also work on my more realistic, figurative work. So those are both subjects that I really like to work in. I don't have any like set, like, this is my one style, this is all I do. And, many artists do that, and that's totally fine if you have that. that's great. That's your language. But I definitely see myself as an explorer of paint.
Hmm. So you talk about this like inner world and how this informs your work right now. Is there anything particular that you're like finding that relationship to between your inner world and your work that you find like particularly like you're working on now and this is something that you're going through or anything like that that you know other people could probably understand or relate to or it doesn't have to no one else has to relate to it but I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, like how it makes sense of where I'm at in my inner world now and how it's like reflecting in my work, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
go for it. Go as go off a
All right, cool. Well, I feel like I'm really developing a new level of self mastery in different ways. Just with like the subtle things, the level of presence I have with what I'm doing, whether it's washing the dishes or taking my son to the park or studying a technique or working on my commission. Um, it's like it's all totally relevant to each other, and the level of awareness will infuse into what I'm working on instead of like, oh, I gotta hurry and do this so I can do this so I can show up for this, and then here this is this final project, and but it was really stressful to do it, you know. That's how I worked a lot in the past, and it worked in different ways, but it also leaves you very depleted. And I'm really allowing myself to take the time. So my art, I think, is advancing in different ways um, via skill level and depth.
that's
So
cool. I
yeah,
I
thank
like
you.
what you're saying about like the presence of mind and how you're kind of like taking the time for the small things like washing the dishes and things like that.
Yeah, you know, it's all totally necessary and a part of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, what do you have any techniques or any ways in which you feel like you further engage with that presence of mind?
Mm, good question. Um, so there are different kinds of approaches I like to go into my paintings with, and lately I've been really enjoying the mandala process and just like starting from the center and just intuitively blooming out and letting it be what it is. I don't really have a set plan. I just kind of go with the flow, and that's a really nice kind of zen space for me. I also like doing an approach called organic symmetry, where I basically just organically reflect uh, both sides of a design that I'm creating intuitively. Um, that's that's a really nice process. I do some online teaching, and I share that technique, that approach with people, and they've really been loving it. So being able to share it has been really special. And recently I've been really loving just the portrait painting. Um, Hello. it's been it's been really fun doing the figurative work lately, and reigniting that passion I have for that specific way of seeing the human.
It's awesome. So that sounds like an interesting way that you reflect between your very symmetrical mandala work and the more human connective work, like the abstract and the human. How do you jump between the two, and how do they reflect in each other for you?
Um, yeah. Let's see. how do the more abstract pieces connect to the more figurative pieces?
Yeah, for you, like how do they make sense internally, I guess. And
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So the more abstract stuff, design-based work, it's almost like this energetic cellular design, like if you were to look into a microscope or something. Um, the way I have glasses and contacts, and the way that I see light when I don't have my prescription on is very similar to how I see my mandalas. So it's this like other way of translating light and color for myself. And then with the figurative work, it's just very more material, plain. Anyone can really relate to it because we're humans. And so when you see something more realistic, you have a better understanding of what you're looking at than if you look at this, wild organic symmetry flow piece that some people love and some people they don't really understand it, and that's totally cool. That's why art is so special, because it's really special for some people, and there's other art for other people. So I guess just kind of going micro macro, uh, looking up close and just seeing the energetics of something, and not just focusing on the physical aspect of it. And then with the more figurative stuff, just expressing the beauty of what it is to be able to see in this material plane.
now you're talking about the material plane and the non-material and like the energetic plane. Maybe you could talk a little bit more for our viewers who would maybe like to learn a little bit more about what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. So you mean like what I mean towards material plane or energy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, okay, so I boxes are really interesting for me, like titles. I can go by visionary artist because that is definitely a theme that makes sense with my work. From a younger age, I really started getting into more alternative ways of healing and learning about more unseen things like energy and stuff like that. So I have a very strong connection to sharing that understanding of the unseen with what we can see and kind of fusing them together. Sometimes I blend them with the more realistic stuff, and then sometimes I keep it more abstract. Um, and yeah, and how I do that, I guess, to be able to conceptualize what I'm saying or make sense of it as an artist. I love working with oil paints. I learned the miche technique, which is a Renaissance technique in Italy and in Austria and in Boulder, Colorado. And I use some of that technique. I don't stick to the exact steps every time. I kind of do a blend of many techniques. Um, but I really enjoy the miche technique because you mostly work with light. You work with white, and you see things from more of a light perspective than a shadow perspective. You start with the lights of something rather than the shadows of something. And so that's been a really interesting complement to how I see art and how I like to work with it. You can create these really cool designs with mediums like casein or egg tempera, which are very integral parts of the Mitch technique. And so if you're interested in that, that's definitely a special tool to work with the more unseen and the realistic things. You could go into that for a really long time. there's there's so much to it all. I think that's why I love painting so much, is because I feel like I can just be learning more and more the rest of my life. So it's endless, man. Life isn't long enough to make enough art. But hey, here we are.
a finite amount to express an infinite amount.
Yeah, I'm grateful to have this human vessel to be able to share things that I see in my imagination and work with my hands and share with my heart, you know. It's all a part of the life path. What about you? What makes you excited to make art?
Well, I'll come back to this question here. What makes me excited to create art? Well, right now I'm excited to kind of see how to see other people's interpretations, how like to lend other people meaning in their worlds through um like our conversation, it's viewed differently as somebody else is seeing it. So it's kind of like even like an internal conversation is seen differently externally, and then seen different like later on if someone rewatches this, which people do rewatch it. So uh and then you can rewind and keep looking at it, and each time maybe you see a different part of ourselves in the same moment. And I find that fascinating through my work. I ask a lot of this. I'm interested. I work a lot between like the abstract and figurative works. So I guess I'm just like kind of curious about how you see it and how you work through these different aspects.
Yeah,
So that's where I'm at is like this meaning making aspect. So let's get to some questions here. Feel free to ask more. Let's see. So, what is the most important thing to not forget my awakening?
not
From
forget my awakening.
Ale.
Hmm. Was this like a
I'm
code question or what
I'm
is
not
this?
sure. I'm not sure I quite understand it. I just sometimes ask questions to see if you understand them.
Yeah. Okay, sure. I think awakening is a constant process to just be in tune with yourself and seeing through your own authentic perspective instead of taking in somebody else's perspective and thinking that it's your own. Really tuning into to who you are without all of the noise and listening to your heart. I think that's just a really big part of it. Your heart and your mind, your own personal discernment, and it's just a constant state. You know, it's just like the constant day that keeps happening. You wake up and oh, another day. Cool. We have so many of these, and then it's over. So it's like, what do you do in the one day? Because I guess the one day reflects the many days.
Is that kind of how you see parts of the mandala? Is that reflective in like some of your more mandalic works where it's like reflective?
Yeah, absolutely. This like kind of reflective mirror mirage, um, almost like this psychedelic tapestry of creation on a more ethereal level. um, I I really like going into that space. It's really fun for me, and doing it with paint, doing it with color, and then sound. I love music. Music is a huge part of my life, and being with music and being with the color and the paints and the expression or the communication of what art can do is just truly magnificent. I mean, art is truly magical. It's such a fun way to experience life and the depth of it all, because it truly is beautiful, even if life is hard sometimes. If you can make art about that, or just through that, you can see like a higher perspective, and I think that's a really wonderful thing about art making as well, is it kind of gives you this heightened state of seeing rather than just kind of being super egoic and negative.
Hmm, that's wonderful. I, so here's my next thought is do you find yourself in certain moments and how you get to your ideas of the art? Do you find yourself sketching it out? Do you
Um,
find yourself like in a certain moment, like when you come up with whatever it is, do you find that the time where you're kind of like, I'm gonna draw this out first and then later on, like another day, do it? Or do you find yourself like in that same moment where you're in this space of like creating this view of things in that moment you're like start to finish, or how does that work for you?
like the process of a piece.
Yeah, like you like kind of like the conceptualization to like the creation and like the making of it.
Yeah, it really varies. Sometimes I'll just get some acrylics and throw down some washes and kind of look into it like a cloud and see shapes and things that I can see, and I start rendering that with acrylics, and then I'll let it dry. It dries pretty quickly, and then I'll start adding oils and colors, and that's one way. Another way is that, say there's a specific person, individual that I really want to paint and um, express, and also allow like some kind of intuitive symbolism to come through. You know, I'll get a reference picture and I will draw it out. Sometimes I do it with colored pencil, and sometimes I just start painting directly on there. Um, I do a couple different techniques. Sometimes I do the mish technique, and then sometimes I do other Renaissance techniques like Reuben. Um, and As I start layering the paint, I I start adding maybe different design elements with like a egg tempera or a casein. Casein is a milk-based pigment, and egg tempera is egg-based, and they have a really interesting texture quality when you add them to wet oils that you can't achieve when you're just using titanium white oil paint. Um, so for any of you that are listening that are kind of interested, I recommend getting those mediums if you are oil painting. They're really fun. Um, and yeah, so sometimes I'll just start the drawing and leave that for a few days and work on some other things and add more paint. And sometimes I finish a project in a couple weeks, and sometimes it takes me a few years, depending on the level of urgency that it needs to be completed. But I'm kind of stepping into this new place of really wanting to hone in on one project at a time, but I still have a lot more to complete to get to that point. So I'm in the constant process state, man.
I understand. You're
Sorry,
so
I get pretty ethereal sometimes.
go
When I
for
talk
it. Go
about art, I'm just like, yeah.
go for it. Go for it. This is an open space to all ethereal matters.
Yeah, so it's good. I love it. It's amazing.
What's happening? What's happening here?
Oh, hello?
Yeah,
Can you see me?
yeah, I can see you. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Can you see what's behind me?
Yeah.
What's going on? What's happening? What's that? What's that?
Whoa. The art is just wanting to speak, I guess. Okay, are you seeing the mandala piece?
Yeah, yeah. I just want to know just let me know what you want to say about it. What's
Oh, gotcha. I thought you were, like, actually confused about what was
No, no,
happening.
no, no.
I was
I just want
like,
to your voice with it.
Cool. Okay, so this painting began earlier this year, um, in January of 2020, so before the pandemic. And it was really interesting because I was curating an art show, a group show in Los Angeles that was going to be super exciting, and I had it all prepared, and I had some really fantastic artists that were going to be participating, and it took a lot of work and time, and the show had to be canceled because of COVID. And I was working on this piece, like, as I was actually working on it to have it at the show, but since it didn't work out, I just kept working on it during all of this stuff that was happening. So it was a very nice piece to really throw myself into uh, via art after like losing that project, and um, but also seeing it as like a very amazing lesson, um, a lesson in, maybe I'm not meant to be a curator. Maybe I'm really supposed to just be focusing on my work, and that's okay. Um, and the the process in the making was thinking about the concept of samsara, which is the process of continually, coming to earth to learn the lessons. And samsara kind of almost has this negative connotation to it, but seeing it as this blessing, like, whoa, am I going to come back? Am I going to come back again after this lifetime? Like, what is happening here? And just thinking about the concept of past lives, and also thinking about time not being linear. And then, well, if there are past lives, then they're all happening simultaneously because there's no actual time, linear time. And so, like, all of these ideas and thoughts were kind of just running through my mind while I was working on it, and just really zenning out with the colors and um, the perspective of where I was at in the time of making it. And it was really fun. It took a lot of time. I spent 7 months on it, actively working on it, or maybe it was 8 months. And it's titled "The Jewel of Samsara," and um, it could be a philosophy, like, wow, okay, so here we are again, living on planet Earth, learning lessons, because that's why we're here, right? And seeing how special it is that we get to be learning these lessons in this point in time as Jennifer and Aaron. And wow, like, things are a lot different now than they were 300 years ago. So what can I do to really um, create a positive impact while I'm here? So these are just kind of all things that I was really going through while I was working on it, and hence the Jewel of Samsara.
Wow. Um, what did you really what are moments that you kind of come back to this idea, this kind of conceptual framework for the self? Are there any moments that you've come back to it since you've finished and started to understand the world in a different way?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely feel like I've done a lot of inner work this year. I think a lot of us have. And a big lesson that I've learned is to just slow down, um, even with the art making. Slow down and let yourself just express what you truly want to express. And um, I've also been learning a lot about human design recently, which has been really cool. It's actually making a difference in how I can see how my energy works and stuff. And I'm a projector. And
No, tell me more. Tell me more. Explain,
oh, this is a whole
share with
other
us
thing,
these
though.
new things you're learning about. We'll take what we want. We'll leave the rest.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for all your sweet words, everybody. This is so fun. And if you have anything you want to ask me, feel free to reach out anytime. But um, let's see. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Oh no. So we were just talking about some of these new ideas that you're learning about through like slowing down and yeah, feel free to
All these old homies saying hi. Hey
right?
guys. It's awesome. I love it.
Or like they can ask questions, that too.
Yeah, totally.
You all
Um,
out there part of this?
exactly. Hey, we're all a part of this. So, I guess with the human design thing, that's what you were asking me about?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, the human design system is this really interesting energy system, and there are like four types of energy systems in the world of people, and some of them are newer. It's really interesting stuff. I would recommend anyone who is finding this interesting or are curious to look it up yourself. And if you know your birthday and your time, the time you were born, you will learn more about it. And there's projectors, which make up like 20% of the population, and there's manifesting generators and reflectors. And I'm going to say that it is actually affecting me and how I see my energy working and stuff like that. And I've definitely been seeing how I've been using my energy like a generator or manifesting generator, and then being totally depleted and tired and uh, just burned out. And that's not a good way to function. You definitely want to be able to fill up your own cup and have the energy to make your amazing work and be able to enjoy the process instead of constantly being in stress mode.
Wow. So really learning how to utilize what you have inside in a way that doesn't make you depleted. Sounds like that's kind of one of the core things that you're taking away from this.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, it's
So,
important.
mhm. Yeah. I'm curious. Could you give us a quick summary of like different types of
Oh
like
man. Well, of the human designs.
yeah. I mean, if you know that you're learning about them, it's cool to share. Like
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm not a human design expert. There are actually people that make a whole career out of it, and they're like human design guides. Um, so I don't have as much information as an individual that is taking it up in that way. But projectors they don't have their own sacral energy, and manifesting generators and generators do. So they have their own energy motors, sacral motors, and they can kind of just keep going and work on multiple things at once. And um, projectors are more like guides and don't have a sacral energy center. They actually only have a certain amount of energy they can put into things, and they can also take in other people's energy centers and start thinking that they're a manifesting generator, and then the manifesting generator goes away and then they're exhausted. It's very complex. I'm still learning about it, so um, excuse my lack of complete detail knowledge of it, but
it's okay. We're just sharing what we're learning now. Sometimes we're
yeah.
just like, this is where I'm at now. Like, we're all at different places, and I find it interesting to learn kind of like where the edges of ideas are, and what we're all like learning about, and what's, what we've kind of gone through, and that interests me.
Yeah, totally. Um, and that's really good. That's why this is such a beautiful interaction. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you
Um,
for joining. We have a
my
question here.
pleasure. Yeah, I was just gonna say, let's look at it.
Yeah, Custom Creations 2018 says, "How do you stay motivated to create all the time? I struggle so hard with motivation, even though I absolutely love what I do."
Aw. Hmm. Well, I love experimenting. So that is another one. Keep it fresh. Keep experimenting. Don't just stick to one way of doing something that you're just really comfortable with. If there's another medium you've been curious about, get it and start dabbling in that and applying what you know with the art making process with that medium. Um, if there are specific people or animals or any physical being that's really inspiring you, make a piece devoted to them. Um, there are many ways to keep the flow flowing. So maybe start 4 projects and have them all be very different approaches, so they stimulate different parts of your brain. And when you're in a certain space, you can really put your energy into the more abstract piece you're working on. And then when you want to just kind of focus on more detail oriented work, then have something like that going too. I find that not having too many, but having a few pieces at a time really helps with my productivity and keeps things stimulating. Do you struggle to find a balance between parenthood and working on your craft? That's a great question, Gardner. um, yes and no. It's so interesting, the whole thing with being like motherhood and the artist. There's so much controversy with it, and I have personal experiences of talking to female artists that I've really looked up to that have decided to not have children because they think it will get in the way of their artwork. And I can understand that. At the same time, my whole art career has grown since I've had my child, and not going to all of these events and showing my face and thinking that I'm being really active because I'm going to all of these events. I'm actually more abundant with my work because I have so much time to really focus on it when I'm not focusing on my son. It's definitely nice to have help. There's more babysitting going on. um, and it's just a balance. It's really a balance, because you can, if you are a woman and you want to have a child, and you're an artist and you're worried that it's going to get in the way, um, trust yourself, and know that it's going to work, and you can make it work. And that's, if you want to do that, no pressure. I'm totally cool with, with everything. It's great to not have kids, and it's great to have kids. It's so individual. And then, being a man, Gardner, do you find it a struggle? Um, it's definitely a different story for the woman at the beginning, just because it's just another kind of experience. The baby's just more vulnerable, and needs the mama more. But it's really great because the level of presence I have with him, I can really cultivate with my work as well. Um, it's good. I'm learning so much all the time, and I think that's the purpose of all of this. And I'm really grateful that I feel very liberated in my expression, and I've done a lot of personal exploration, as a woman, as an artist, as a person. to really know myself and share that with my little boy. So awesome. Yeah. Rock on.
Thank you for
So yeah, my pleasure. It's a good thing to talk about, it's a relevant discussion.
sharing. So what's going on with this piece behind me?
Oh, that piece is a little piece, 6 by 6, on wood. That was in 2016. I was at a very interesting point in time in my life. I had just gotten back from Austria, and I was in Long Beach, California, and I was about to do a really awesome live painting experience in LA, and I was kind of just warming up and creating these small experimental pieces, and this was one of them. And this being with the kind of ethereal eye mask going is something I've seen before, in visions and on journeys, personal inner journeys, and things like that. And it's like she's really kind of just seeing beyond what we're seeing, like another level of reality, beyond the veil, through the veil. Um, yeah, that's what I see her as. And I was right next to the ocean, so you can see this ocean horizon line in there. And the bird just kind of popped up. Sometimes I see little creatures in my paintings, and I'll just kind of render them in. It's really cool. It's like looking into a crystal ball or looking at clouds sometimes.
Hmm.
Oh, that one's kind of, oh, there we go. Um, so this piece is called Ecliptic Transitions, and I did that in Boulder, Colorado, specifically Gun Barrel, Colorado. I was actually living at one of my favorite artists' houses, for several months, and was inspired by this ram, um, piece on her fireplace, and so I created a a painting that was honoring this symbol that I was seeing constantly, and kind of added my own flair to it. Um, and um, do you mind just holding on one
No, no, I don't
moment?
mind. I don't mind. We're
Okay,
all here. Yeah, go for it. Go
awesome.
for it.
Okay, I will be right back. I just have to tend to something really quickly.
It's all good. It's all
Okay,
good. This
thank
is
you.
how we
See you
know
in a
we're
second.
live.
Yeah,
We're
right?
live
See you in
here.
1 sec.
No problem. No problem. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to follow both of us if you're not already following. I do these every Tuesday, Artist to Arts, here at Aaron Jack Line Art. I'm Aaron Jack, by the way. And then Thursdays, I'm over at Freedom Tapestry Project. So that's at Freedom Tapestry Project on Thursdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. PST, 5 p.m. GMT, so all over the world. So make sure to follow Aaron Jack Line Art and Freedom Tapestry Project. And if you're not already following any of our guests here, make sure to follow them. I'm just so thankful for you all being here and being here with our guests. Also, there's a little symbol down there below. It's like looks like a little peace icon. Make sure to send it out to some of your friends.
All right, I'm back.
All right, perfect. We had a little chat.
Awesome.
Us camera. So thanks for being here. So we were talking about the Ram and you living out in Colorado at one of your favorite artist houses.
Yes. Yeah, and inspired by the symbolism and the decor, and I was going through some interesting things, just personally, And this was a really nice piece to work on as I got to gaze upon this artist's masterpieces. I was actually living at Martina Hoffman's house for a little while. If any of you have heard of her or are interested, her work is absolutely incredible. She's been a huge inspiration to me in my art path. So I highly recommend you check out her work.
Hmm.
Um, so it was, I guess it was just like a gratitude piece for being in that space and um, thinking about the changes that I was about to embark upon and reflecting on the symbolism that was making itself known to me at the time.
Oh. Are there any other artists or musicians or creatives that you would like people to go check out?
Oh my gosh. So many. I could go on forever. I would have, man, I wish I had a list for this.
I know. Go, just a couple off the top of your head. Like there will be more. You can always comment after this is posted and share more. I'd like some
Okay,
new music. So
some new music.
I'd
Yeah,
like some new
awesome.
music. That's what I'd like.
Let's see here. What have I been listening to lately? Um, well, I mean, some things that I kind of listened to on and off for a long time. Have you ever heard of Bonobo?
Someone just on this just said that, so it's very interesting. Like just like last week, someone was like bonobo.
Okay, Bonobo is awesome. Emancipator is really cool. I've just, man, I'm gonna kind of surf genres though. They're all pretty
Go
different.
for it. Go to your wildest, or just anything that you like come back to.
Yeah. I've been really an artist that I've really enjoyed the last few years is Agnes Obel. She's really incredible. Man, I have a whole list, so I'm kind of just like, where do I start?
Start
And I can
wherever.
also share
Start
more with
wherever.
you in the coming days, man. I can send you a list.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard to
Post it
kind
in the
of think of it
comments.
all now.
Right. No, I know how that is. But sometimes there's just like one or two people that like
Yeah,
always get the little cord here. Little cord.
yeah. There you go. Technology.
Right? Technology. It's a thing.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, as far as artists go, visual artists, I've had
Yeah.
the honor and pleasure of learning from some really amazing artists, all very different kinds. In art school, I got to learn from John Wentz. He doesn't work at the academy anymore. He's actually living in Paris now. He's also doing a podcast and does really interesting portraiture work. Um, an artist that I've had the pleasure of working with and learning from is Philip Rubinoff Jacobson. He's really incredible. He worked under Ernst Fuchs for a long time, who's like a Austrian celebrity. He's passed on now, but he's definitely a fascinating artist. When I went to Italy, I learned from artists Amanda Sage, Maura Holden, Lawrence Caruana, Andrew Gonzalez, and oh man, there are a lot of great artists out there. So, I mean, I guess whatever uh, specifics you're interested in, I could share more.
Cool. What's going on in this one?
Yeah, this one is called Metamorphosis, and this was also at a very interesting time. Um, I was seeing it as like a channeling process, if you will. Um, I guess that's like the best way I can describe it. And I had been working a lot with this gem theme, this like central gem theme. You can see it in some of my more recent stuff too. but this idea of creating art is like the gem of your experience, and then everything else is kind of like a rippling out from that. And it almost has like this abstract butterfly wing effect going on. Um, the planet Earth is there. It's like, well, this is my abstract message that I want to share. I used my personal figure. I'll get a little personal here for the figurative piece. So here I'm adding some like realism with the more ethereal, abstract rendered forms and really exploring that. This is when I was really exploring at first the organic symmetry and just I guess what it had to share with me. It's like a transformational process that painting is. And that's a little bit of a crop. Oh, there you go. Cool. It's so cool that you can do that.
I
This
only learned
painting,
recently I can do that. Yeah.
yeah, it's awesome. So this painting journey is kind of like a vision quest. I started this in Colorado as well, and I was really feeling called to going back to the coast. And at first, I just started it as a study. I was just like looking at my hand and painting it. And then as I kept working on it, I started seeing this ocean theme. So everything besides the hand is just kind of made up for my imagination. And it says "Thank you, life" on the ribbon that's wrapped around the wrist. And it was like thank you, life, for giving me this amazing opportunity, and this is where I'm seeing myself going next. And I did end up going to California again after that. This piece is really cool. It's called Gazing into the Infinite, and I worked on this while I was in San Francisco. And one of the best ways to really describe it is almost like a more ethereal language. It's kind of like a star language. Um, Something I really love about painting is that it is a language in itself, and I feel like it's a very helpful tool for me to communicate with others what I'm experiencing or seeing in a way that I can't fully encapsulate with words. And also using that gem theme in the center and gazing into the infinite is just like coming from this beingness place, this like watery star place. Maybe it's like my alien origins or something, and just feeling into this dimension.
Hmm.
Yeah, this piece is cool. This really helped me. I was in Grass Valley at the time, and it just started coming through. I was going to be leaving my partner at the time, and I was seeing a lot of robins, and it was kind of like the robin was this symbol of source, like, okay, it's time to go. And so that was basically what it was for me. It was very medicinal, helping me through a transition in my life. And the figure is like me. It's not like a direct representation of me, but she's somewhat of a symbol.
Hmm.
And this piece is called Seven. I worked on this in Salt Lake City, Utah, and it is my organic symmetry approach. It was a lot of fun. It's kind of larger. It's like 36, or no, just kidding. It's 30 by 30. So kind of large. I wasn't planning for it to be the rainbow spectrum, but as I was working on it, I was seeing like the seven areas where the eyes were, and it just made sense to to add this chakra element. So it's like this more ethereal body. It's actually been playing into my work later. I have this practice called the Rainbow Energy Body Meditation. It's one of the things that I share with my students online. And this is very much the process, kind of in a different theme, I guess, or like the stages are slightly different than what I'm teaching now. But I started really getting into this flow, this rainbow energy body meditation with this painting. So it's the birth of that.
Well, Gregory's chakra juice is exploding right now. So there you go.
Well, that's great. Yes. This is called Between Worlds, and this painting I started in Peyerbach, Austria, when I was learning more about the Misch technique. And I met this really amazing girl there, and this is her. And I was really feeling the energy of mermaids, and mermaids were like this archetypal symbolic theme that was just very active in my personal sphere at the time. And so I painted her as a mermaid, a river mermaid, and it was a lot of fun. This is an example of kind of the more magical realism pieces that I also like to do. I like to infuse the kind of galactic space realms into it. Like you can see some space in the water and some purple sparkles in the back. And that's actually because I really see purple sparkles sometimes. It's so crazy. In like certain moments, I'll either thinking or like coming up with a thought, or these purple sparkles just kind of come into my vision, and it's either like, oh, I have some kind of visual impairment thing or something, or maybe it's some kind of energetic interdimensional messaging. Who knows? So I like to think it like that, but life is what you make it, right? Everything has meaning in which we give it. This piece is called The Calling. I started this in Grass Valley, California. I was really feeling the Jaguar energy, and I started with acrylics, and I saw it as the calling because I was feeling this power animal at the time very strongly, and feeling like my work, my artwork is a calling, and this is like my symbolic self in that moment. I like painting the moon as well. The moon is in a lot of my work. Not so much recently, but definitely in the past. I guess I just feel so connected to it. I mean, how can you not?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Yeah. And this is Eris. This painting was actually the live painting I did in LA following the Horizon of the Endless New, that piece you showed earlier, that little painting. And this was the bigger piece that I was kind of feeling that beginning painting with, and then this really turned into its own entity, its own being. And it started with acrylics, and it was a performance piece. I was painting alongside some really incredible artists like Bennett Digital and Michael Pukosh and Vajra and Alex Gray and Allison Gray, and it was a lot of fun.
Mm.
This piece is called Oculus. I did it at the very end of 2019. And now that I'm looking at it, it was actually in the same room as I gave birth in. So it has this like potent birth energy in it. And seeing it now, it was like this symbolic transformation, this like burning away of the old self and like looking into this future self, seeing having new perspective. That's just kind of what I'm getting from it now. And then I painted it with oils and egg tempera, and it was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Yeah, this piece was really fun. This was also a live painting, um, and this was amongst the artists that I was saying before in Eris as well. This was in Los Angeles, California, and acrylics, and I finished it with oils. And this piece was really cool. When I started it, I had an intention of balance, like this embodiment of yin and yang. And I was actually thinking of my son, Titan, at the time before he was born. So he kind of manifested through. Um, and it's interesting because I was seeing it as like a more masculine figure when I was working on the painting, but actually before I had my son, I thought he was going to be a girl, and he was a boy. So it's really cool. There's a lot of layers to this piece. There's also this whole Statera balance, thinking about like the darkness and light within and how we've come here, and my own personal lineage and ancestry. And like I have part Native American, and I'm also part Spanish, the Spaniards that came to the West Coast and did a lot of destruction, and also was the indigenous blood of this land. So it's really a fascinating alchemy that I feel like I embody, and this is also somewhat of a portrayal of that, like this Spanish ship and the rainbow and the yin and yang, and like seeing that we are all dark and light, and that we can alchemize it if we choose.
Very cool.
Thank
Very cool.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
Really appreciate you sharing all of this here.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. I really love talking about art, and when you invited me onto this, I was like, sweet. So thank you for asking.
Yes, of course, of course. Um, so where can everybody find you at?
Awesome. Well, of course, my Instagram. I'm currently building my brand new website, which is on Squarespace, and it is going to be jennifermckeuen.com. That should be ready here in the next week. I'm
Oh,
just getting all the stuff figured out so I can be in full control of my own website, which is going to be awesome. And yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. My Facebook name's Jennifer McEuen, and I also have a TikTok, which is kind of a newer thing.
we can be TikTok friends.
Okay,
It's
let's do
totally
it.
new for me too.
It's funny. It's fun stuff, man. But
Right? Why don't
yeah,
you spell
so
out your Instagram handle for us right now?
okay, my Instagram handle is Jennifer Jennifer dot McEuen MCEUEN dot art. And if you're interested about my website and stuff, I'll definitely be updating my Instagram audience about that information because I have some really fun stuff coming for next year. Um, yeah, so thank you again for
Yeah,
having me.
of course, of course. And yeah, so for everybody else out there, make sure to go follow both of us up here. Just like click on that little artist to art little with the drop down and click and press follows. Do all that. And so I'm Aaron Jack. You can find me at Aaron Jack Line Art. I'm here every Tuesday with another artist, and then Thursdays on Freedom Tapestry Project. Would you like to leave us with a little bit of inspiration, words of wisdom, inspiration for the world, for those out there watching?
Oh, that's a great question. Your heart knows the way. Listen to it. It has everything you need to access, and it will inform the next step of whatever it is you're wondering what you need to do next. And that is my message for now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, see you later.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching, for tuning in. Again, I'm Aaron Jack. You can find me at Aaron Jack Line Art. Make sure to follow. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursdays at Freedom Tapestry Project. I'll be right back here at 3 p.m. Eastern with another amazing guest. So make sure to tune back in. I'm just so grateful to all of you for participating, for asking questions, for inviting your friends, for just being here and being a part of this and being about art with us on this journey of life. So thank you all so much. Couldn't be done without you, every single one of you. I really appreciate you being here, because that's what keeps me going and keeps this whole thing, any of it going, is to show up, to be here, to ask questions, just being present. So thank you so much. All right. See you in about 45 minutes or something ish like that. Back on Artist to Art. Thanks so much.